Yeah, this is good.
Yeah. So hello everyone, thank you so much for coming out. My name is Noah Harrington. We are the Acoustic Nomads, or just Acoustic Nomads. This is Sophia Kirandini on the violin.
Yay.
Ethan Satillo on the mandolin and various other Mando instruments. And Mauricio Fioresalas playing the Venezuelan cuatro here and the guitar.
All right.
Noah Harrington here on the bass.
That's right.
Yay.
Let's begin. We've been fortunate to play a number of concerts over the past couple of years, and with sound systems, and it's actually delightful to play just the way we rehearse. This feels really comfortable, like just in a small space. Ideally surrounded by a lot of books. They really soak up sound like nothing else.
I mean, when we started out, we were...
We hear you all acoustic.
Yes.
Like Nomads.
Yes, that's right.
When we first started, the first couple of shows we put together, we wanted to be like an acoustic band. It's like, no, just like that.
Yeah.
And then as soon as you do one show with like all the gears, then you're like, oh, that was nice. Let's just do that. It's like when you have a car that doesn't really work, and then you get on a nice car, you're like, ooh, wow. Anyway, that was Untitled 8. That's a tune written by Ethan Satiu here.
Available on our record, The Abominable String Band Volume 1, which is a green Nautilus, which is like a squid.
It's on number 2.
Sorry, that's what I meant, number 2. It's a green Nautilus on a white background. It's the green and white one and the black and blue one. Those are the two.
Right.
Yeah. He has more than 8 Untitled tunes. Yeah, Untitled 8,000.
Yeah.
Things like that. Now we're going to do my tune. This is called Onda Fortunada, which is a play on the word onda, which is the style of music that the song is based on, which was invented by a guy in Venezuela in the 70s because he wanted to rip off the market that Brazilians invented when they invented bossa nova. Bossa nova literally translates to the new thing, which is what onda nueva means in Spanish. So he literally invented bossa nova in Spanish, and then just marketed it to the same people. And it was the 70s, so like Brazilians didn't get it until like 5 years later. They were like, "Did you see that guy?" Oh yeah, he makes a lot of money. And I was like, "Well, I guess that's that." You know? So it's called Onda Fortunada, like fortunate tune or something.
Solos on the A.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Because it's linked to the next tune. So the reason why, like we all know, he ripped off the Brazilians is because if you listen to samba, samba's like that whole thing is so if you go like so that's what we just did. He just went like, well, I have 4 of these. If I just do that, now I have 3. It's mine. And no one really noticed until, like, you know, a couple of years later, someone went like, wait a minute. If he translates it to Portuguese, it's just bossa nova. And he was like, no. Then eventually he said, yeah, I totally did that. But now we're going to play an actual samba written by Noah.
We're just adding beats.
Now we're just adding a beat to what I did.
Or subtracting beats if you think of it as 2/4. But that's for the nerds to decide.
It's like,
I wrote this song thinking about a class turtle that we had when I was in elementary school at Hastings Elementary School in Lexington. Any fans of Hastings Elementary in the room? I figured it was a long shot. It was a great place. I loved being there with Mrs. Lou Constant. Go Mrs. Lou Constant, great first grade teacher. But we had a class turtle. We had to write an essay about it. And it was just one sentence about the turtle. It was a great turtle. That would have sufficed as a sentence. I couldn't do that, though. I didn't know enough about the turtle. Where do turtles come from? What do they eat? Can turtles love? I didn't have any of these answers, so I felt that I couldn't really accurately write this essay about the turtle when I was in first grade. And so later on, when we were coming up with songs for this record, I came up with this song to remind myself that sometimes it's okay not to know exactly everything about something before you try it. This is the turtle problem. Notice Maurizio's pinching together his strings.
Don't do this at home.
Yes. Don't do this at home on your quattros.
That's not it.
There it is. It's a very, you know, that's the thing. Tortoises are the slow ones. You gotta keep your eye on a turtle, especially in water. They'll get away from you real quick.
A turtle on wheels?
It's a whole other thing. That's on the third album, which doesn't exist yet.
Turtle on wheels.
Yeah. This next song. Do any of you know anything about Peru, the country? What comes to mind? Just shout it out.
Very skinny.
Very skinny. Machu Picchu. Yeah, so Peru is divided into 3 distinct geographic regions, one by the Andes Mountains. And one is the coast, the other is the mountains, which are their whole own thing. They are huge. I've only seen them from a plane, but they almost touch the plane, so. And then there's the interior, the jungle. I haven't spent very much time in any part of Peru, but I did spend 1 week on the coast of Peru in Lima. And in Lima, there's a style of music that comes from the Afro-Peruvian tradition, from the enslaved people that were brought to Peru, called lando. And it's a specific rhythm that is really centered around the cajon, which is a drum that we do not have here. But we are going to play a lando. Just to give you an idea of what you're missing, I'm going to quickly play the pattern, which sounds like this. And he's snapping the down key. So that's lando, and it's awesome. It's usually used to tell really, really sad stories about pain and hurt. And when I really fell in love with that music when I was in Lima, just for a week, and I wanted to bring that kind of music to this band. And I wrote a lando that I thought was the perfect culmination of all of the other landos that I loved listening to, from people like Susana Baca and Eva Ayllón and all these other great artists. And then I showed it to Maurizio before we brought it into the recording session, and he was like, "This lando is just like every other lando." I was like, "Isn't it great?" And he was like, "No! What are you doing?" And I was like, "You know, you make a good point." So I thought, who else out there in American music, in my own experience, really encapsulates all of that sadness, that anguish, that anger that I've really connected with in the landos that I've heard. And of course the answer is Charles Mingus, the great American jazz composer and bassist who is an inspiration to me and so many others. And so I took a lot of Mingus's harmonic ideas and crammed them into this new lando, which I have titled Lando 2. It is the second draft of the lando idea.
The Turtle Paradox.
The Turtle Paradox. That's a good name for it too. But here we are.
Yeah, we need to make like the trilogy of the turtle.
Yeah.
The trilogy of the turtle. I like that. This song is going to feature Ethan Satiawan playing a pretty darn burning solo. So
Hasn't happened yet.
it's happened a couple times, but this is a feature. This is a feature.
The mandolin will catch on fire.
It's the right color.
It happens.
Very good set list. You should have been making our set list from day one.
Why
Why are we
made a set
not?
list tonight?
This is the best set list I've seen in my life. Because it's always like, oh wow, how are we connecting this song and this song? You know? But this was perfect. Because I was thinking the whole time while I'm playing, like, in this kind of song, I have the gusto of playing a very loud guitar part. Usually they tell me to shut up. But in this one, I play out, and it's sort of my personal homage to in Latin America, there's like, let's say there's 3 schools of guitar. There may be more, there may be less, depends who you ask. But definitely Peru has a school of guitar that is very important. The way they figured out how to play guitar. Sort of similar to how flamenco guitarists play. And if you see them, like they don't believe in microphones or anything. And they're loud. They're the loudest guitar players in the world. They just figure out how to hit this thing and just make it go for miles. In Peru they have something similar. Have you ever seen, I mean, I cheat, I used to pick, you know. But like if you see a Peruvian guitar player, you know, they'll use their thumb. It hurts when I do it because they don't go.
It's the pain. It's the pain.
And they have this, you know, all that stuff. So they have a very big school. Brazil has a very big school. Of course, we know all the very amazing guitar players from Brazil. And then the Brazilian one kind of goes into Argentina, or Argentinians will say their school goes into Brazil. No one knows. But Argentina has a very big school for guitar as well. And so right now so in Peru they like to play loud all the time, everything. Argentina is almost, I wouldn't say the opposite, but Argentinians are more, they like to hear themselves a little more. They're more chill. They drink mate, this weird coffee, not coffee, but coffee thing. And we're going to play a samba. So there's samba from Brazil and there's samba from Argentina. The samba from Argentina it's actually referred to in Spanish as the female. It's la samba, and it's sort of the romantic song of the Argentinian folklore. That's if they're gonna dedicate you a love song, it's gonna be a samba or some pop stuff, you know. But like it's not gonna be something else that's rap. And sambas are slow, you know, meditative, but they have a beat. They always have the beat is very important to them. So this is a samba called Samba de Laurel, of the laurel, like the tree. And yeah, it's sort of it's like a love song. It's like a song that it basically says like, you know, if all things could be as perfect as this laurel that I'm seeing right now, you know, then maybe you'd be with me, or some corny stuff like that. Whatever. You make up your own mind. When they send it to you, you can figure out what they were trying to make. You know. Yeah, and it's one of the few covers that we do in this band. Because we just love this song so much. This was written by a guy called Gustavo Leguizamón, or El Cuchi. And there's tons of records dedicated to him because he wrote amazing songs. that you have there?
Oh,
What is this?
This is, it's kind of confusing, but there's a thing out there in the world called a tenor guitar. And this is kind of like that. It's actually tuned more like a mandolin than a guitar. So the strings are C, G, D, A. Same intervals as a mandolin, just a lot lower.
Or like a cello.
Or like a cello, yeah, it's the same as a cello.
Yeah.
So we have here a bona fide, not quite string quartet. A real, genuine article.
Ethan plays the mandolin, the mandola, and the mandocello.
They're all the same.
And then,
Because he's the
and
man.
then we'll get the octave mandolin, and then he will fire us all. He'll just play all the parts.
He needs the mando bass.
You'll do like tracks, and then you just play to yourself. I'm like, it's cheaper that way. Anyway, you want to say something about this track that I still can't write? Every time I type the name of this track, I always get it wrong.
Right. Yeah, this is a tune of mine called Woolly Bugger. And boy, is it a woolly bugger. Yeah, it's a tune that sometimes I do this writing exercise where I improvise for several minutes and kind of pull an idea out of that. Just kind of a way to jog the brain and get an idea going. So this is one of those, and I'm quite into fly fishing. This is it's one of those lures you use to catch fish with. So this one's for the fish. It's called the woolly bugger.
Animal-centric thing.
Support all fish.
Yes.
And turtles.
Yeah, sure. Perfect. Yeah, we got a theme. There's like squid on the front of the album
true.
cover.
Nautilus.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nautilus.
Nautilus.
Carries its home on its back.
Not all of us. 1, 2, 1, 2.
Say a quick word about this group. I met all of these. You're probably wondering, how did we meet? Who are you guys? What's happening? Well, as I said again, I'm Noah, the bass player. This is Maurizio, the guitarist and quattrist. Ethan, the mandolist and mandocellist. Man of many talents. And Sophia, the incredible violinist and fiddler. I was fiddlist. Well, I was lucky enough to meet all of these people at the Berklee College of Music, and I wanted to be a jazz musician when I grew up. I still do, someday.
When you grow up.
When I grew up. It may never happen. And I was lucky enough to be diverted from that path into that whole world. Into this, which is a lot harder to categorize, and certainly a lot harder to sell concert tickets to. So, very grateful to all of you for taking the chance to show up to it. But I met these amazing people who I'm so grateful to call my friends along the way, and they didn't know each other. And I was just meeting all of them in all these different scenes and jam sessions and different projects, and I was thinking, wow, these people are making some of the craziest music I've ever heard. What if we all made it together? And, you know, a couple years later, a couple records in, here we are, we're actually doing it. I don't know what I expected, but this is way better than whatever I could have imagined. So, yeah, it's a great opportunity for just people who just have such different experiences of music from all over the Americas to come together. And it's like a little laboratory, a little workshop for all of us to learn from each other. And hopefully get to share some of that and share some of the joy in that learning process with all of you.
Well, you certainly enjoy what you're doing. That's very, very evident.
Well, then we've done our job, you know?
Yeah. With what he pays us. I do this for the love, man.
That said, thank you to the Cultural Council. We are actually taking care of this.
They are paying us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so this next tune, we're doing 2 tunes in a row that I wrote. One I called, so I'm from Venezuela, if that hasn't been implied or said, I don't know.
I don't think I said it.
Yeah, no, I don't know. Sometimes I'm like, should I say it or should I say it? So I'm from Venezuela. Venezuela's a very big country, and I've sort of devoted, I didn't grow up playing traditional music, I grew up playing American music. Because my parents don't listen to Venezuelan music. And they know it, they know as much as anyone would know because it's on the radio, but they don't really enjoy it that much. So I just found it one day, and I've devoted, I'd say the last 10 years of my life maybe, to studying it, to learning about it, basically on my own, what I can find, what I can meet. I've met some very wonderful people, and it's been and it's opened me up to Argentina and Brazil and Peru and all these countries that after a while you just realize we're all the same thing. Even though ethnomusicologists don't like that. But
They're out of it.
but then they can write books and stuff, but we're all the same thing. So Venezuela being very big, it's actually very, it's just kind of, one of these things that happen is that we have, I don't know, we have at least 50 to 60, if not more, just styles of music, folkloric styles of music that are from different people, from different places. And if there's one thing that people like to do, is not be like the other person. So everything is, no, this is how we do it, and this is how they do it, and you know, one of the big things we have is something called joropo. It's a word maybe you've heard of, or you may have heard fandango. Same thing. It's an old word that meant, hey, where's the party at? That's what fandango meant, and that's what joropo meant. And that's what even samba meant, and everything. It stemmed, and then from there they decided to call it a style of music, but it was just a party because it's social music, it's dance music, and joropo is in all of Venezuela, but everywhere is different. And one of the kinds of joropo that I really like is called tuyero. Tuyero means from the Tuy. Tuy is a region; it's the valleys of Tuy. And Tuy is an indigenous word that I think means mountain or river. Again, who you ask, I don't know. But basically it's this region where you're driving on the one road, and it's almost like these mountains are around you that are like gonna crush down on you at some point. They're just humongous. And they have a kind of music that sounds like, you know, if normal joropo sounds like this, like a very broad sort of general feel, it's like this. etc. I can do or more, depending on where I am and how conservative they are. It's all brum.
That's a technical and musical term, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. After a while in music, you just stop calling things anything and just go like. The other day, a friend sent me a sheet. Totally unrelated. The other day, a friend sent me sheet music that I want to record with her, and it has written on it at one point, "Chung kukuchum." And I was like, I called her up. What do you mean? And she goes, you know when you go like chung kukuchum, and I'm like, oh yeah, there you go. What do you call that? I don't know, chung kukuchum. But yeah, so in this region, the Tui, they don't use quattro. They use quattro sometimes, but they mainly use harp. And the way that harp plays, a sort of reduction is something like this. And the big thing is this. But like the bass, the way they play it is so aggressive and it's so boxy that you can't even hear a note sometimes. But it's just boom, 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 and you don't even hear the rest. You can't understand what they're singing about. You can't understand what they're playing, but you just hear. Boom, boom, boom. It's like it's the antecedent to like house music. It's just dum 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 dum. If you were just doing this for like half an hour nonstop, if the singer stops, they shoot him. Easy as that. They don't care about anything. If you don't want to play, fine, we'll take care of you. Well, but if you ignore all that and you just look at the music, it's very beautiful music. And so I wrote this piece thinking about that and how can I make it sort of my own, because I will never be from the Tui. And they will always say that I'm not from there. Sad reality. But so it's like, okay, so let me do my own thing based on that. And so I wrote this song called Searching for Tui, Buscando el Tui. And then we'll do another song. Oh, yeah, you heard that boom, 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 boom. It's awesome. It's awesome. And it's two dudes. One doing that, and then one guy sings and plays maracas. And he needs to sing just like he just drank, 5 bottles. It's like I listen to the records and I'm like, what is he talking about? But that's the vibe. And so now we should do rap instead of that. Okay, cool.
Well, it's almost time to end. We don't want to keep the library open. We don't want to keep you up.
The shibu. What's the thing? Shabu.
That's not even close. But we might do it if they.
No, we should do that. If we do rap, so we'll do that.
Yeah,
okay.
sure.
Yeah. Cool. So now.
But, real quick. You can't take us home with you. No matter how much we may beg you to. Because you all seem very nice. But the next best thing are these 2 CDs that I mentioned earlier. Ta-da!
We have them.
The aforementioned aquatic animal, the Nautilus. Here is the record with the last tune you just heard, Buscando el Tui, on it. And here is the record from which the bulk of the tunes you've heard tonight comes. We also have t-shirts. Oh! And they're all, I think, very reasonably priced. But that's for me to say and you to find out. But the cheapest thing you could do and the best way to stay in contact with us after you leave here, or to really just hear from us whenever we're coming through this area, is to sign up for our mailing list right in front of Margaret. It's right there. We just would like your name and your email if you're willing to share that with us. We send emails maybe 2-3 times a month tops, and they're very easy to delete. I've heard that over and over again. Even easier to ignore. That said, we're doing rap song.
Yeah. If you want to. Yeah.
That said, we're going to wrap up with our last tune. This is the first tune we ever played together as a band, and it is a not joropo tuyero. It's the regular kind.
There is no regular kind. I just talked about it.
I know. But I don't remember which kind this is. Is this Oriental?
No, I'm kidding. Oh, well, it's like a mix of both. Yeah.
Okay, well then I'm half right. Rapsodioso by Maurizio.
It's joropo. There's a part from the plains, and there's a part from the Orient. Sounds really bad in English, but it's not that bad. So when it gets crazy, it's because it's the East people. Most of the tune is the other one. All right.